Hi, I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Connor.
And this is a chit chat with the chubby bubbies. How are you, Connor?
I'm good. We're truly into the dog days of the summer.
We're exhausted tonight. We're coming at you live from a very deep, dark part of the night, which is kind of exciting.
It is.
You know?
It is. After a very bright, very hot day.
Yeah. I can't wait for fall.
Yeah.
Oh, man. If you all think the show is good now in the summertime, just wait till the fall and we both actually feel good.
That's really when our season kicks in.
I think so.
Yeah.
Cut to the fall. It's our worst episode ever. It's like 45 minutes about dirt. Well, today is hi, I'm Lindsay. This is a casual chat with both of us talking about something that is happening currently in the world that we want to talk about right now without diving into too much research.
Absolutely. And I don't know anything about what we're talking about today. You told me not to look into this specific thing.
Yes. So fun fact, I saw this article pop up in The Atlantic and I thought, that might be a juicy topic. And then one of our viewers emailed it to us.
Oh, really?
So I took that as a sign.
Gotcha.
And I was like, well, I know what we're talking about this week. So today we're going to be talking about Jason Arday.
Jason Arday.
Does that name strike you?
I do think I had this article pulled up to read.
I told Connor, as soon as I decided we were doing an episode on it, I was like, don't read it.
I don't remember anything about it, but I remember the headline being like, what?
Yeah.
I got to read this.
The article is titled Icarus in the Faculty Lounge.
Yes, that's right.
Aren't writers the worst people in the world? We're so awful. I love it.
Shout out to The Atlantic.
This video is brought to you by our coffee members, whose names are appearing on the screen right now at the beginning of the video. Can you even believe it?
Switching things up.
Ooh, keeping you guessing. Ooh, keeping you weird.
If you want to join our little community, we post little shorter episodes that we call our sit and sips, smaller rabbit holes that don't really make it to a full hour-length video. If you're interested in that, go check out our coffee page and consider joining.
We also have a topic suggestion box down in the description. So if you want us to cover a specific subject, you put it in there and we just might do it, my friend. Yeah. So before we jump into that article, I wanted to do a tiny bit. I said I wasn't going to do any research. I did a tiny bit of research just to give us a little bit of background. Okay. Because again, the article kind of assumes that you know who Jason Arday is, what he's done, and why this article was written.
Okay.
Which I didn't. I came in completely blind. I didn't know anything.
I'm starting at 0%. So
beautiful.
A little primer would be nice for me.
Okay, fantastic. So Jason Arday is a 41-year-old British academic. He specializes in sociology. He's probably the most famous sociologist in the world right now.
Is that right?
And has been for several years. We're going to get to why. But he's pretty well known.
Heard.
He grew up in South London as the third of 4 boys, and his parents are Ghanaian. His mother was a nurse. His father was a chef.
From Ghana.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Ghanaian.
Okay. Yeah. I heard Argonian, which is a fantasy lizard race.
Yes. He's a famous lizard person.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about today. And now the story goes that Jason did not speak until he was 11, and he couldn't read or write until he was 18.
Oh, that's a little late.
Isn't that interesting?
I don't want to judge anybody's journey. But
well, you just posted this video on literacy.
I did.
So it's a little odd that this story came across our desk at this exact moment, because this is very top of mind for Connor and I.
It is. We've been having a lot of discussions about literacy and the age of literacy, specifically what age people become literate.
Yeah, the deathification of literaturification.
18 is really old to be learning how to read and write.
That's hard. Every year, your brain, that you inch closer to 25, your brain solidifies a little bit more. It gets a little tougher to get new wrinkles in. So 18 is getting it just under the wire. Now, there were several reasons for this. He was diagnosed with a litany of developmental disabilities, including autism. School was difficult for him, you could say.
Gotcha.
So when he was 18, he was also physically assaulted and developed epilepsy as a result.
Now, I'm going to do the thing I always do whenever we talk about a potentially problematic person on the pod. I'm going to say, wow, what a poor guy. I'm going to be on his side at the start of this podcast. And I assume by the end, you're going to reveal some things to me that are going to be less than savory.
What do I know? What do any of us know? But nothing.
This is a rough situation.
It's a rough situation.
Yeah.
Despite these monumental setbacks, he pressed on and pursued higher education, earning both a bachelor's and then a master's and then a PhD. Good Lord. He claimed he had to relearn the content of his dissertation weeks before defending it, following the removal of a benign brain tumor that caused severe memory loss.
Oh my God.
According to him, he, as a dissertation or a thesis, like if anybody out there has written a thesis, you know, it's pretty much your entire life for about one entire academic year. It kind of feels like your whole academic life is coming to a peak and it's going to pop like a pimple. So you know everything about your chosen subject.
Mm-hmm.
So to have your entire memory wiped when you're about to defend your dissertation is probably the worst thing that could possibly happen to you.
Yeah, the way it's been described to me, because I've not even finished college, but the way like a master's or PhD was described to me is like you have a very hyper-specific set of knowledge about a very hyper-specific subject.
Yeah.
So I imagine that requires a lot of things that you're remembering about your dissertation.
Exactamundo. Yeah. But he did end up finishing it. He finished it on time and he did graduate.
Wow.
And Richard Dawkins read it.
What?
Yes, the Richard Dawkins, God delusion Richard Dawkins read Jason Arday's dissertation.
Why did Richard Dawkins read his dissertation?
Well, I think they both went to the same university or something. I don't know. Well, I think Richard Dawkins is also technically a sociologist or maybe works in similar fields.
I see.
I guess for fun, he reads dissertations. That seems like something Dawkins would do for fun, doesn't it?
That's very true.
And he called it gobbledygook. So
oh no,
that's a real ego death right there. That would actually send me into a cave.
So I ask Lindsay about her experience getting her master's degree every now and then, just because I'm so curious. Like, but she has described this process of like getting your thesis approved by the thesis board and everything. And that sounds like such a nerve-wracking process.
I had fun.
You had fun.
Yeah.
Other people that you knew did not have fun.
No.
Yeah.
They had a bad week.
There's people who had to like totally shift 180 degrees in like the middle of the semester.
There were people who were legitimately a minute away from failing.
Right.
And not graduating.
It just seems like there is so much writing on this thing. And it seems like it's almost a little too easy to go down the wrong path and find the wrong thing, that you need to be, pointed back in the right direction a little bit.
I think, in my experience, I've witnessed people get stuck on deciding what their thesis or dissertation ought to be. And then they spend so long like flubbing it. Like, I'm going to stick to this thing for a month and then, oh no, that's a dead end. And then they switch and they go to a different direction. And then 6 months have gone by and now you have 3 months to put together a dissertation. And that's tough. And look, you usually have like some form of guidance, like you have a mentor that you're supposed to check in with. We had like a board of professors who were not directly helping us write our thesis or create our thesis that would review our work over time to like, so it's never a surprise is what I'm saying. Right. It's not like you work on this thing for 9 months, you give it to a board and they're like, no, get out. Like that doesn't happen.
No, of course.
You're checking in along the way.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, some people had a very rough semester.
And it sounds like
I have so much gossip and I want to tell everyone about it. You have any idea how badly? Listen, I'm living in a state. This is totally besides the point. I'm currently living in a state where I don't know anybody. Zilch, not one girlfriend to go get coffee with. Do you have any idea how hungry I am to talk about meaningless gossip? I am dying over here.
We should start an online book club just so you can gossip with people.
Please, just if you have beef with your neighbor, like if your son plays his radio too loud, like anything. I'm hungry for anything.
Yeah, we're gonna start a new suggestion box. This is gonna be Lindsay's little gossip corner.
Please tell me what's going on in your life. What's happening out there? Anywho, so despite Richard Dawkins thinking that his dissertation was complete and utter gobbledygook, Jason Arday became a professor at Cambridge University in 2023, making him the youngest Black scholar to ever do so. And that is when he became famous.
I see.
Yeah, that's a really big deal.
That is a big deal.
Now, I'm going to quote from the Guardian article that profiled Jason Arday a couple of years ago, because it has some good, juicy information in there.
Okay, great.
Quote, Arday does not view himself as intellectual necessarily, but as someone with determination. In 2010, he ran 30 marathons in 35 days to raise money for charity. If you have the will, he says, it will always supersede skill. End quote. Now, you're a runner.
I am.
I like to run. but not in any kind of organized way. I just like to go for a walk and then pretend that some man with an axe is chasing me.
Yeah.
And then I run around the block a little bit. That's completely real. I do that every day.
Uh-huh.
So I'm a walker, personally.
You are. You go on a lot of walks.
Yeah, but you're a runner.
Mhm.
Can you do 30 marathons in 35 days?
Oh, sure. It's not easy on your body. But there are guys who have done like a marathon every day for a year, like that kind of thing.
But what if you have epilepsy? He has epilepsy.
That's a great question then. I don't know. When it comes to extenuating circumstances like that, I'm not the expert. I know my body. I could not do 30 marathons in 35 days.
Maybe he's in like an air-conditioned gym.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe that's easier on the body.
I don't know. There's been a trend recently of people who like do marathons in the backseat of their car, where they turn on their Strava app and they just crawl around the backseat of their car for like 26 miles.
Why are they doing that?
That's a great question, Lindsay. That's a great question that nobody has the answer to, not even them. But anyway, to answer your question, yes, you can do it. And it's incredibly taxing on your body. Like I ran a 10K like 3 years ago and I couldn't walk the next day.
I would worry about jogger's nipple.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
That pretty much killed any interest I had in marathoning.
I have a friend.
That and Boston.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't need to run that badly. That's the worst thing I've ever
It's
seen.
either bloody nipples or blowing up at the finish line.
Just so unnecessary.
I have a friend whose dad went through a marathon phase when he was in his 40s, I believe.
Oh no.
And he did a marathon, I believe, at Disney World, because they do a marathon every year. And they only have one picture of him at the marathon,
No.
and it's when he's finishing. And it rained earlier that day, so everybody's shirt was wet, and it causes chafing even more severely. So it's just,
Oh,
he looks, and it's red, terrible. And
No.
his wife had it framed immediately.
that's the funniest thing ever. It makes me woozy, and that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Connor, ask me what Jason Arday's work was like centered on.
What is his work? I'm actually very curious what his work is centered on.
Thank you so much for asking. The Guardian answers that for me.
Okay, great.
Quote, his sociology work to date has centered around similar themes. He has worked with the social enterprise, the Black Curriculum. He is a trustee for the race equality think tank, the Runnymede Trust. And he has sat on the university's UK advisory group on racial harassment in higher education. In his Cambridge appointment announcement, he said that he wanted to democratize higher education, end quote.
Interesting. Okay.
So it's centered somewhat on the Black experience, specifically the Black experience within education.
Right. Which I imagine is very different in London, especially in like the UK.
I can't even pretend to know what racial dynamics are like in
Oh.
England. I just know what they're like here. I would assume they're not that much better.
No, probably not.
I'm not hearing from the community like, yeah, no, this is like
Right.
a post-racial paradise.
Well, the way I think about it, like our institutions in the United States are about 300 years old.
Yeah.
The institutions over there are like over 1,000 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like,
Cambridge was founded in 1209.
Jesus.
12. The year 1200. Holy mackerel.
So they got some stuff to unwind on that one,
Yeah,
right?
I would say so.
Very dumb question. I'm going to show my ignorance here a little bit.
Okay.
What do sociologists do? Like, I know what the study of sociology is, but what does a professor of sociology, like, what are they researching? What are they actually working on?
That's not a dumb question at all. I think that's a very good question. I'm going to look it up.
I always assumed that sociology had to do with the relation between people and beliefs and religions and like the foundational like pillars of society. That was my understanding of sociology, at least when I was in high school.
So I'm going to read from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics.
Okay, great.
Sociologists study society and social behavior by examining the groups, cultures, institutions, and processes that develop when people interact and work together. They also may study specific groups, trace their origin, and analyze the influence of group activities on individual members.
Okay, so I was kind of getting there. I was in the ballpark. Yeah.
So let's see. They typically do the following: design research projects to test theories about social issues. Okay.
That's where the research is.
That makes sense.
Gotcha.
Collect data through surveys, observations, interviews, and other sources. Analyze and draw conclusions from that data. Prepare reports, articles, or presentations. Collaborate with others. Yeah, they're social scientists.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. That actually clears up a lot of the mystique that I have in my head about them.
Yeah, that was a really good question, actually. Their job title may also reflect their area of focus. For example, sociologists who specialize in crime may be called criminologists. Oh.
Light bulb. There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a big light bulb for me. I'm very familiar with criminologists.
You are.
I did not totally piece together that they were tied together to sociology.
Yeah. And I guess that makes sense because like when I think about a sociology or a sociologist, there are people who work at universities, but somebody who studies sociology isn't always going to teach. They're going to go out into the world and do other things. And I imagine gathering data analytics, like on people is the important part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting. I'm curious what our commenters are going to say about this whole thing. I'm sure we've got some sociologists in the crowd.
So here's a quote from Jason Arday himself about his work.
Okay.
Quote, "We're talking about 1,000-year-old white establishments, and anytime you're a person of color that penetrates those legacy spaces, it can be difficult for some people to digest or manage. Our mission, in some respects, is very simple. It goes back to what we've always tried to do, which is to democratize education, information, and redistribute resources as far and wide as possible to those most in need. And those two institutions have a lot of capital." Now he's referring to Oxford and Cambridge, who together have an estimated $21 billion in capital.
Oh, wow.
What? Holy moly.
I mean, this is a big topic of conversation on long drives with me and Lindsay is the endowments of some of these major universities. We can't talk about it for too long. It gets us upset.
All I'm going to say is that I would be an amazing dictator. This country would turn right around.
But that's crazy. $20 billion. Like, obviously, of course, they're going to have a lot of, they're some of the oldest institutions on the planet, but that's crazy.
Jason Arday taught at Cambridge University until 2026, earlier this year, when he resigned amid allegations of plagiarism and fraud.
No. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It might have all been gobbledygook indeed.
He didn't even plagiarize his thesis because it was gobbledygook.
Well, we're going to talk about that. Now, this is when the article from The Atlantic is going to come in.
Great.
To tell us what may have happened here. So again, this was posted in The Atlantic. It's titled "Icarus in the Faculty Lounge" by Daniel Engber. Even before the push alert about his resignation from the University of Cambridge earlier this week, Jason Arday might well have been the world's most famous living sociologist. In early 2023, Arday received a professorship at Cambridge. At 37, he was the youngest Black scholar to ever do so, and his appointment made international headlines. A year later, he set out to sell his memoir. According to a cover letter that his agent sent to publishers at the time, Arday's book, to be titled "Great and Unfortunate Things," would be, quote, "an awe-inspiring tale of near-mythic proportions," end quote. That now appears to be an understatement. Arday's story was indeed astonishing. As a toddler, he was diagnosed with autism and developmental delays. He didn't fully speak until the age of 11. He learned to read and write only as an adult. Arday's parents are Ghanaian immigrants. He grew up wearing homemade clothes and hustling for cash by playing snooker. Yet, in spite of all these obstacles and many, many others he has recounted over the years, Arday found a way to go to university and then to graduate school. Eventually, he's got his PhD, and then he became a star. But in the past 2 weeks, Jason Arday's near-mythic, or perhaps purely mythic, tale has disintegrated. In July, a philosopher named Nathan Kaufness published a long Substack post reviewing apparent evidence of plagiarism in Arday's academic work.
Oh no, it went down on Substack?
Kaufness posted 36 passages from Arday's 2015 dissertation about student teaching, which reproduce or closely track text found in a 2009 dissertation from another scholar in his field. Arday looks to have even copied from and rearranged that person's title, and in doing so, has misused an apostrophe, which is something that Richard Dawkins pointed out as well.
Oh my. Okay.
It went down on Substack.
It went down on Substack?
Yeah.
Hey,
Mm.
that's a very serious thing.
Whoops.
I can't believe. So even the title was plagiarized?
Yeah, seems so.
That's allegedly. Everything's alleged.
We don't know.
We don't know. That's crazy. How could you plagiarize your entire dissertation down to the title?
I don't understand plagiarism. You totally elected to be here.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You elected to come get your PhD, to earn your PhD, theoretically, because this is something that you really care about. You're passionate about it. You want to make a change in the world. Why do this? If you're just going to plagiarize, was this just for the certificate to hang on the wall? I always wonder with people who plagiarize their entire life's work. I'm like, what was the point of this?
I don't get it either. It's like, I did a little bit of time in college, but there are people who would, they'd get to class and kind of fuck around and they wouldn't do anything. It's like, dog, we're paying to be here. This is not high school. Like, you're not legally required to be here anymore.
No.
You know?
It makes me think maybe you didn't care that much about the work. I think you wanted the roses.
Yes.
But I don't know. Let's read a little bit more. Arday's grad school alma mater, Liverpool John Moores University, which first received direct complaints about the dissertation last fall, did its own investigation and cleared Arday of any wrongdoing. But some of Arday's other academic papers had potential problems too, and they seemed much worse than the mere borrowing of language. Quotes from structured interviews that Arday claimed to have performed closely resembled those used by other researchers. Parts of some interview responses also reappeared across different studies under Arday's name, attributed to different people. This duplication, if deliberate, would be something other than plagiarism. It would be academic fraud.
That's absolutely what it is. If you're claiming that you were the one doing the interviews that you're referencing in your dissertation, that's wild. That's a wild play.
Yesterday, Cambridge announced that it had begun an investigation following new information about Professor Arday's academic qualifications and honorary appointments. By the end of the day, Arday had resigned. Here's a quote from him. Quote, "I want to reclaim some peace, privacy, and some semblance of an ordinary life. I no longer wish to feel as though I am living under a constant spotlight where every aspect of my life is subject to public examination and judgment." End quote. He did not respond to questions from The Atlantic.
Of course he didn't.
What do you think? What's your gut on this?
My gut is that he definitely did it.
You think he did it?
Yeah. We open the investigation. Okay, then I resign. Like, that's fishy. I mean, it's, pleading the fifth technically isn't illegal, but it makes me suspicious of you a little bit. You know what I mean?
It reminds me a little bit of the Shy Girl controversy.
Yes.
Where, Hachette came forward and said, "Oh, we'll look into that for sure." And then Mia Ballard responded and was like, I didn't use it. My editor must have used it.
Right.
Like, I'm checking out of this conversation, and they just kind of disappeared from the public eye, like just dropped it and disappeared. It's like, girl, it would be very easy to prove that ChatGPT did not write that book.
Yes.
But you did not provide the proof that ChatGPT did not write that book.
That's the thing. Here's the thing. You have to believe in a system of there should be evidence about a thing. Absolutely. I do believe in an evidence-based thing. That being said, you should be able to prove that you wrote your dissertation.
I'm also confused because when you write a dissertation, as you do with a thesis, there is a guiding professor that you work with.
Yes.
So theoretically, he's going to this professor and he's turning in chapters, he's turning in drafts, he's turning in research papers, he's turning in interviews. Like, where were the checks and balances here?
I'm not sure. I mean, here's the thing. You can pass anything off as being legit, right? I know that from Photoshop. Like, I've been doing Photoshop since I was 13. Like, so there's got to be a certain amount of like getting it past the gatekeeper. You know what I mean? Like, who watches the watchman?
But this must be something like, this is a very well-respected institution, and also a very well-respected professor who's overlooking his dissertation. Plagiarism must be top of mind, right? Yeah. Especially when somebody's under so much stress. If he had a brain tumor and then it wiped his memory, I'm suspicious of that more so than I don't know about the plagiarism. I don't know about that, but the brain tumor, I'm like, okay, really?
Here's the thing.
Why is this giving me like flashbacks to previous episodes?
Here's the thing I feel is that if somebody, like you said earlier, somebody who is getting a PhD in something really cares about the thing. It's like the thing they've centered their life around for the last couple of years. It's very important to them. If that person is accused of plagiarizing their like work that has led up to this point in their life, wouldn't they kind of defend themselves with a primal or animalistic like sense of, don't you dare put that on me?
Yeah, I mean, we said that with Mia Ballard too. She's pretty quick to drop her own book and just flee.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't even bother defending it. If you really spent hours of your life on your broken laptop writing this book, you would be on the news tonight.
Right.
Being like, I have been unfairly accused. This is my book. I wrote it. Here are the previous drafts. Here are the edits. Here are the highlighted things. Here's the copy I gave my husband. Like,
I will not go silently.
I will not go silently into that dark night. I want my contract back, and I want a little bonus on top for emotional damage.
Exactly.
But she didn't do that, which I think said a lot.
Yes.
I think his resignation is speaking louder than anything that I've seen yet. Any proof that I've seen.
I agree.
Jason Arday told The Times last week that he is not a liar and that he'd been given insufficient supervision as a graduate student, especially in light of his learning disabilities. Quote, "It's more likely that I've made a mistake. There's a clerical error. It's not that I've fabricated," end quote. He also seemed to address such allegations at a conference in April for the British Sociological Association, where he gave a talk about pervasive efforts to discredit Black scholars, including himself. Quote, "These people are brilliant, perversely brilliant," he told the colleagues. Quote, "There are times when you look at what you're doing and you say to yourself, well done, well played, very good. You've caught me in 1,000 knots. How do I get myself out of this situation?" End quote.
That's interesting that he would choose to kind of foist blame against the system of checks and balances rather than take blame on himself.
That is, what, not to keep quoting Mia Ballard here, but that's her throwing her editor under the bus.
Yes.
Is he blaming the professor who was helping him put together his dissertation?
That quote makes it sound like he is. Absolutely.
Here's the thing. There are learning and developmental disabilities that do inhibit our ability to keep track of details.
Sure.
100%. ADHD is one of them. That's just the one that I know the most about. So I understand there have to be systems in place when you have ADHD and you're doing something as high stakes as putting together your dissertation. There has to be a system in place that you build or that you build in collaboration with somebody else who's looking out for you that keep you from plagiarizing other people or yourself or from engaging in unethical behavior just because you're losing track of the threads that you're tying together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know a nice way to say you're a grown-up.
But that's what it boils down to.
You're a grown-up.
Yeah.
You're a really big grown-up. You're PhD. It doesn't get more grown-up than that.
No, very...
You don't get to blame a guiding professor on your plagiarism of your dissertation.
No, and that's the thing. Like you said, you have to build in your own system to make sure that you're doing things correctly.
Yeah.
And in this kind of scenario, I have to imagine that an institution like Cambridge would also want to make sure that you have that system in place. They would want to help work with you on that kind of thing. Again, I don't know why this keeps happening, why this keeps being brought up with people like this. They want to hide behind the kind of like facade of their disability to excuse the behavior that they've done, when the disability does not explain the behavior even one iota.
No. Here, I'll give an example from my own life.
Please.
When you have diabetes and your blood sugar goes really low, sometimes people get aggressive.
Yes.
There are lots of stories from EMTs specifically who show up because a diabetic has a really low blood sugar and whoever else is in the house can't get a handle on them, like can't get them to drink juice or take their glucagon. So the EMTs show up and it takes multiple grown-ass, in-shape men to hold the diabetic down and get them to take the glucagon because they are not like physically, mentally capable of totally engaging in what's going on.
Right.
They're just not really present. The brainstem is activated and nothing else is. So they're just in ape mode.
Right. Their body's shutting down and fighting for its life.
Yeah. This doesn't happen to me. I definitely get irritated, but I don't like flip furniture. Some people flip furniture and just throw crap across the room. Like it gets intense.
I remember I saw a video of a guy who was like throwing trash cans in a subway station.
Yeah.
And the NYPD, I think, responded and they realized that he was diabetic.
Yeah.
But they almost shot him, like very seriously.
Do they have any other skills? Do they teach you to do anything else at the academy? Is it just day 1, shoot, day 2, shoot again, day 3, here's your badge?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a no bummer channel. I'm letting it go.
They didn't shoot him. And they realized that he was diabetic. I think somebody was there that said, he's diabetic. Help him, please.
Yes. So that's a real thing that can happen. And you can cause, obviously, if you're throwing trash cans into a subway station, that can cause severe damage. That can hurt people. That could have killed people. So it's no joke. So when your blood sugar comes back down, I don't think personally it's an acceptable thing to be like, well, I was out of control. Like I didn't have any control over it. What do you want me to do?
Right.
Well, I want you to be apologetic.
Yeah.
I want you to apologize. I want you to have a system in place so that when you get to that point, you know what to do. That it is so ingrained in you that you know my sugar's getting low. I need to sequester myself in my own room and take my sugar before I get so low that I'm breaking mirrors and beating up my girlfriend.
Right.
That's what I expect you to do. You're an adult. You have to build systems in your life that protect you and the people in your life. It's not acceptable to launch a trash can at someone because your blood sugar's low.
No.
You have a disability, and as an adult, you are responsible for managing that disability. That doesn't mean never accepting help from other people. That doesn't mean not taking accommodations, but you do have to take accountability for your own life. It really drives me crazy when people infantilize people with disabilities as though we just don't have control.
Right.
We just can't take care of ourselves. I'm just a little guy. I'm just a little 29-year-old woman. I had to beat up that baby. He had a lollipop and I wanted it. My blood sugar was low.
Now, my own personal example that I can think of, I don't have a disability.
Brag about it.
But you've seen me sneeze before.
Drives me crazy.
It does drive you crazy.
Our relationship barely holds together in moments when you're sneezing.
I sneeze like a 50-year-old man who's been at the war.
It shakes the house.
It's pretty severe. And I've sneezed like that since I was 15. It's tough. It hurts.
It's unacceptable.
But when I'm driving the car and I have to sneeze, I've never crashed the car and gone, well, babe, I had to sneeze. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you want from me?
So, like, in moments like that, there are levels of control. It doesn't feel good, but I recognize I'm driving a vehicle. I can't just let it out. You know?
No, there's this I'm feeling it right now in my own body and mind, but we really don't know how to talk about other people's bodies or our bodies in general.
Yeah.
That's a big conversation popping up surrounding Ariana Grande right now and the general beauty trend that is happening right now. We really don't know how to do it. It seems like we're either just outright hurtful and cruel, or we just clam up and we don't say anything. And neither is acceptable when we're talking about disabilities. I know it makes people uncomfortable. Nobody likes talking about disabilities because it's the team you can join at any time. And no one likes thinking about that. It's like mentioning death at a dinner party. It's like, okay, well, way to kill the vibe.
Yeah.
But we have to figure out a way to talk about it where it doesn't make everybody just like curl up under their blankets.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of that comes from like the general discomfort that people feel within themselves on behalf of people with disabilities. It's that thing of like, you know, a little kid staring at somebody in a wheelchair and the mom is like, don't stare. It's not polite to stare. It's like, they're a child. They don't mean anything malicious by staring at somebody in a wheelchair.
They've never seen this before.
They've never seen it before. You know?
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of like, okay, we all have to learn with each other a little bit.
We have to be curious. I don't think there's anything wrong with coming into a situation that you're unfamiliar with and leading with curiosity. If you don't know how to talk about a thing and you have a feeling that somebody else does, you could just ask. Like, how do we talk about Ariana Grande?
Right.
How do we talk about that effect on young girls and young women? How do we do that?
A very real one that is being had.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
How do we talk about disabilities in this instance where somebody has history of learning disabilities, but now they're being accused of plagiarism and they're losing their job? How do we talk about that and the systems that we have in place in these ancient institutions and the systems that we don't have in place? But on that topic, I am positive that there are people taking this story into a weird and racist direction.
100% in both directions.
I'm sure people are taking it there. I don't really want to dignify that with attention. I can only speak to this as a writer and as an artist and as somebody who works in academia. Mm-hmm. That's really what I'm interested in. Let's finish out this article and see if there's anything else damning in it before I jump into a point I want to make. Okay. Speak of the devil, the racists are here.
Oh, God.
The article talks about him. Kaufness, the guy who pulled him out on Substack. So apparently this guy, Kaufness, ran Arday's dissertation through a plagiarism checker last month. And one of his core philosophies is what is called a hereditarian revolution, based on the idea that innate differences in intelligence and other traits exist across racial groups. There it is. Did we just predict the future? I knew these people were going to come out of the way. I feel like they're just waiting.
They always are. And
they can't wait to talk about it.
Here's the thing. My ears perked up a little bit at a tiny detail in this article, which was Kaufness was not the one who had been plagiarized. He had pointed out that this dissertation had been plagiarized from somebody else.
Yes.
Which is weird.
That is weird.
That's a weird thing because usually it's the person who is plagiarized that calls them out.
That would make more sense.
Right.
It's like, hey, I wrote that dissertation 10 years before you did.
Yes.
Where'd this random Substacker come from?
Oh, no. Oh, no. I was on the Substacker's side. Oh, no.
Y'all. What else do you say? Hang on. Give him a chance.
Give him a chance.
Maybe he's going to turn it around. Coffness also claims that, quote, the humanities and much of the social sciences have been slain on the altar of DEI, end quote. God, they're so dramatic.
Man.
Just be a drag queen. You'll love it. It's the drama, the theater that you crave is waiting for you.
I got a fun fact for you. Most of them already are.
Lindsey Graham. We're all looking at you. But the challenges to Arday's credibility quickly went beyond the realm of Coffness and his fellow white reactionaries and beyond familiar arguments about diversity hiring. Taken all together, they exposed a broader self-destructive tendency that has long been present in our universities and also in the media and publishing. Any failing can be forgiven as long as it's packaged in a story that people want to hear. That makes me think of Percival Everett.
Percival Everett. I know that name.
He is a very prominent writer. He wrote James, which is probably his most famous book.
Yes.
I see it literally everywhere.
Yes.
And he also wrote the screenplay for American Fiction.
Oh, really?
That movie that came out a while ago. It's based on one of his books, I believe.
Gotcha. I like that movie.
Yeah. It's based on... So American Fiction, if you guys aren't familiar, it kind of plays with this idea that there's only one true Black story to tell. And it's the worst one you can think up.
Right.
I think the whole movie centers around this Black man who grew up in a middle-class family and went to a good university and like doesn't have the quote-unquote typical Black experience that you expect to encounter in fiction and nonfiction. And so he can't get anything published. So then he just lies.
Yeah.
Then he's just like, okay, I'll tell you the Black story that you really want to hear. And then he writes Fences, basically. It's like, are you happy now?
Yeah.
And then it gets published.
Yeah. The books, the movie centers around him, like, putting on a very heavy Black scent and talking as if he was raised in like crack-addled streets and that kind of
when
thing.
He grew up like Colson Whitehead.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like wealthy New Yorker, like intellectual type.
The movie's done very well. It's very funny.
Really, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I do want to watch it though. So Arday's memoir, which he co-wrote with someone called Eve Claxton, is still scheduled to come out next week from Simon & Schuster. So it might be out already.
Oh, wow.
Actually.
Okay.
The story that it tells should not be taken at face value. It differs notably from other versions of his life that Arday has shared in public and in private, including in the original proposal he sent out with his agent. But the book is also, in a way, very honest and quite telling. It provides a vivid portrait of a man who was always manifestly ill-equipped for academia, yet found a way to reach its upper levels. This is not someone else's cruel assessment of Arday's tragic and improbable career. It's his own. So now this article covers his memoir a little bit.
Okay.
The Atlantic somehow has a copy of this book.
Gotcha. They got an ARC copy or something.
I'm guessing so.
Yeah.
The memoir begins with a prophecy. It's 2006, and Jason Arday, then 21 years old, is installing water pumps in the favelas of Brazil and showing children how to use them. Favelas? Favelas.
Favelas. It's okay. I only know that because I played Call of Duty.
I said favelas?
Yeah, you did. It's okay.
Favelas, Legolas's brother.
you read it how it looked.
Don't
that's
talk
not
to me like that.
That's okay.
No. It's fine. You can call me silly. A local aid worker, quote, a woman in her 30s with dark hair, end quote, touches his arm and softly tells him that he is destined to suffer in his life, but also to do great things. The rest of the book is an elaboration on this moment. Arday suffers, Arday overcomes. The doctors who assessed him as a toddler told his mother that there's no one in there and that he was no better than a vegetable. Even his speech therapist wasn't optimistic that he'd ever talk. As a boy, Arday rocked and hummed and banged his head until he bled. He slammed cupboard doors and smeared his feces on the walls. Yet, still, eventually, he started to verbalize. Still, eventually, he made his way through school. Tribulations piled up throughout his life. Arday is nearly deaf in one ear. He's dyslexic. He finds simple math befuddling. He has marked difficulties with memory, reading, and processing skills. As a teen, he was beaten so severely by a group of kids his age that he became an epileptic. To make his way through secondary school, while by his own account illiterate, he needed ample help, support assistants who sat beside him in class and took notes on his behalf. When Arday applied to university, his girlfriend, who had been teaching him to read, wrote out the application on his behalf, including the personal statement. In university, a friend who took the same courses sat beside him sharing notes. By the time Arday started on his master's degree, he writes, he was reading at about the same level as his 3-year-old daughter. Still, he pressed onward. Still, somehow, he got a teaching job. How is all this striking you right now? That...
A little far-fetched, I think. is like my initial reaction.
You can only read at a 3-year-old's level, but you got your master's degree?
Yeah, something's not adding up here.
No.
A lot of the numbers in this equation do not make any sense.
His obstacles were only multiplying, though. Money was tight, so after each day of teaching, Arday writes, he had to work on overnight shift in a supermarket from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m., and then a morning shift as a cleaner from 5:30 to 7:30. The only time he had left to write his dissertation was when he was commuting between London, where he lived, and Liverpool, where he taught. On those semi-weekly 5-hour rides, the book explains, he would open up his laptop on the plastic seatback table and start typing out his thesis. As his dissertation deadline approached, Arday started having blurry vision. Medical scans revealed a brain tumor. This is when you lose me. You'll lose me at brain tumor.
Yeah.
At this point, the amount of people I've researched, I don't think I would believe anybody if they ever told me they have a brain tumor. I don't think those actually exist.
I would need to see the MRI. Yeah.
Not even. I want to touch it. If I can't touch it, it's not real to me.
So much of this feels it feels like it's almost dialed up to 11 for the sake of like the drama of the thing. I don't know. I have a hard time being convinced that you're traveling between your overnight job and your university day job where you teach people in theory, but you were reading at a 3rd grade level, a 3-year-old's level.
Yeah.
I
just don't know how that works.
You know what I mean?
So after the brain tumor was removed, he had a mini stroke and lost his short-term memory. Here's a quote. I'd worked on my thesis for over 30 months, and now I was reading it as if for the first time. End quote. As one might expect, his thesis defense did not go smoothly. One examiner was suspicious of his work. Quote, I'm struggling to see that there's any original contribution here, she said, according to the book. But Arday, who often likens himself to Rocky Balboa, managed to fight back, and in the end, he passed. More troubles followed in the years ahead. Arday's brain tumor returns. He splits up with his wife. He suffers autistic burnout during the coronavirus pandemic and can't get out of bed. He decides to kill himself by jumping off a bridge, but at the very last minute, he listens to his favorite song, delaying his attempt just long enough for a member of his family to rescue him. The book sticks mostly to this frantic register, and coincidence abounds. Arday claims, for instance, that when the kids who beat him up at the bus stop were arrested, he told the judge that they shouldn't go to prison. And then years later, when he took a brief teaching job at an unnamed London university, 2 of the muggers turned out to be his students. They'd been so moved by his act of mercy that they'd turned their lives around, and now they were coaching other at-risk youths. Quote, both of them gave me a huge hug, which I returned. One asked Arday to be the godfather of his child.
Okay. And here we go. Here it is.
I'm hitting my level.
Yep,
I'm at my level.
Okay.
No, they didn't. I don't believe that.
No, here's the thing. You're hovering right around that bridge too far, and you've gone across it. This has become a bridge too far.
This is Hallmark Christmas movie level inspiration.
Yeah.
It's kind of hurtful, honestly. He's leaning into this inspiration porn quite a bit, which happens to people with disabilities a lot. They're like, oh, wow, I could never live your life. I would kill myself. Like,
you're such an inspiration.
Yeah. Wow, your life is so hard and bad. Like, it really makes me feel grateful for my life, which is so much better than yours. Like, it's this, again, really weird infantilizing position. And I feel like this story is playing into that quite a bit.
A little bit. Yeah. More than a little bit. You're going to sit there with a straight face. You're going to sit there with a straight face, and you're going to tell me that the guys who beat you up when you were a kid
and gave you epilepsy,
you forgave them, and then they turned their lives around because of that forgiveness.
What is this savior complex?
And you taught them at the local university.
They wanted to turn their lives around. And now he's the godfather to the... Don't piss me off.
Don't insult my intelligence.
Yeah. I also went to school, okay?
Oh, no.
This Atlantic author has had it, by the way.
Yeah. I bet the Atlantic author cracked at about where we did.
Yeah. Quote, is that really true? I reached out to the book's fact checker to ask whether this and several other stories from the book had been verified, but she did not respond. Even asking that question places me on the wrong side of Arday's moral ledger. When you succeed against pretty much insurmountable odds, Arday writes in the book, it weirdly makes people question your credibility. End quote. Is it weird? I don't think it's weird. This Atlantic article is really, at this point, just like, when you keep succeeding against insurmountable odds, the facts of your surmounting will be bound to get a second look. I agree.
Yeah.
I think, again, I keep referencing Ariana Grande just because she's like top of mind right now. She's all over the media for really horrible reasons. It seems very much like famous people, including Ariana Grande, want all of the positive parts of being really famous and really wealthy and really powerful. Ariana Grande can work on any film she wants to. She could record a whole new studio album tomorrow and it could make her millions of dollars. She travels all over the world, goes into arenas full of girls wearing her t-shirts and like holding up posters and crying because they love her so much. She wants all of that. And she wants none of the responsibility that comes with being in that position. She wants none of the negatives. This is something that comes up every time the conversation of fame comes up. Fame is a really tricky thing. It gives you a lot of freedom and it gives you a lot of power, and you have to be responsible with that power and with that freedom.
I agree.
And it seems very much like people want to cherry pick what they want. It's like, I think he was perfectly fine being famous when everybody loved him and thought he was an inspiration and were asking him to be the godfather of their children. But now that people are poking apart his dissertation and saying, well, did you really run 30 marathons in 35 days when you have epilepsy? That seems like a really risky move. Is that possibly fabricated or exaggerated?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want any of that. And that's not how that works. When you become famous, you trade something. There's a give and take with everything in life. If you're not famous, that means you don't have as much power. You don't have as much negotiating ability.
There's leverage. Yeah.
But you do have your anonymity.
You do.
That's the trade that you make.
You do. That's a big thing that people in our comments have talked about. You know, when we talk about the idea of like pen names and that kind of thing.
Yes.
There are some people who really, they want to write, they want to publish, but they don't want to be known. And I honestly respect that. I think that's a very fair thing, especially because sometimes the things you write and the things you publish can put you at risk depending on what community you're a part of.
Yes.
It's a big deal. Absolutely, it's a big deal. When it comes to this guy, this might not be a very good metaphor or comparison, but my thing is like getting struck by lightning once. Oh, that's a freak thing. That's crazy. I can't believe that happened. If you got struck by lightning 45 times, I would start to ask some questions. Why? What are you doing? What's going on? Are you sure? Are you made out of metal?
Yeah.
Right. Everything about his story is strikes of lightning. You know what I mean? He overcame insurmountable odds with learning disability, autism, reading, writing, being bullied, having epilepsy, trying to get his master's degree while he cannot read or write.
Two brain tumors?
Two brain tumors. You know what I mean? It's like life actually isn't that much sometimes. When this much is happening to a person, I'm going to go, brother, what neighborhoods are you walking through? Or are you lying to me? Those are my only two questions I can ask.
A little bit more from this article. Quote, Arday's record of public statements includes plenty that would seem to be exaggerated, if not completely false. He said repeatedly, for instance, that he'd once run 300 miles in 3 days for a charity event, and that on another occasion, he'd run 600 miles in 6 days. That's not physically possible, is it?
There are people who do ultra marathons, but...
No, that's striking me as hardly even Olympic.
Okay, so here are some of the ultra marathon world records that we have.
Mm-hmm.
There was one person, Alexander Sorokin, who did a 24-hour run and ran 200 miles in 24 hours. Sarah Webster ran a women's 24-hour record of 173 miles. And Phil Gore's backyard ultra record of 495 miles, which that's on a track, so a little different. So for men in the world, the record right now that I'm seeing is running 200 miles in 24 hours, and that was in 2022. So is it possible? Absolutely, it's possible.
But how are you a Cambridge professor and also like one of the premier marathon runners in the entire world?
That's the thing. There would be a lot of publicity about that. That's a big deal.
That's a crazy accomplishment.
That's a big deal.
Oh, I'd never shut up about it. There'd be a big sign back here being like, ask me how far I ran.
Right. So,
yeah.
Again, I don't know how many things one person can do in a life, right?
But the most disturbing inconsistencies arise from Arday's book proposal, a copy of which was obtained by The Atlantic. That document from 2024 cites several accolades of which no proof exists online. The proposal also lays out many of the same events as the memoir, but with slightly different dates and details. The boys who beat him up were not his age, but 4 years older. His suicide attempt happened before, not during the pandemic. And whereas the book describes Arday as having survived 2 brain tumors, the proposal says he had a bout of testicular cancer. No reference to that illness appears in the memoir. That's pretty damning.
That's pretty rough.
That it wasn't in your book, your memoir's proposal.
Yeah.
You didn't put the 2 brain tumors in your memoir's proposal.
Well, let me ask you this, because you're a writer.
Yeah,
You write.
theoretically.
I've read everything that you've allowed me to read, and I love everything you've written that I've read. And you write from some amount of inspiration from your own life. You've written some stories that have taken some amount of inspiration from your own life. And part of that is you fictionalize a little bit of it for the sake of the narrative of the story.
Mm-hmm.
That is markedly different than writing a memoir,
Yeah.
right? A memoir is supposed to be a true account of what happened in your life.
Well, I wouldn't
Really?
say that.
Okay. You think it's a little squishy?
So much money that every memoir is a little bit of creative nonfiction.
Mm.
I really like creative nonfiction because I think it allows the nonfiction writers to take the creative liberties necessary to protect people's privacy and also maybe to enhance the storytelling.
Yeah.
Life is not very cinematic. Life is not very literarily exciting. It's not like, well, this happened and then very naturally it flowed into the next action sequence. A really good movie, there's no bad scene. And what makes a really bad scene is when nothing happens.
Sure.
You know how much of life is just a lot of nothing happening?
Yeah.
Most of life is dishes and complaining.
Right. And waiting in the line at the grocery store.
Right.
Yeah.
That does not make an amazing memoir. I mean, the most fascinating person in the world could write a memoir, and if they stuck only to the facts, it would be the most boring book you've ever read.
Mm-hmm.
So I would bet every person who's written a memoir has played with the facts a little bit.
Right. So with that said, there's room for squishiness.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'll concede that 100%.
Yeah.
Now, squishiness is changing names, changing places for the sake of anonymity, or again, structurally wanting to make sure there's something there.
Shifting the timeline a little bit, I could
Right.
see.
Testicular cancer versus 2 brain tumors. It's a big change.
That's a pretty ginormous change.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, his parents are Ghanaian. That would be like making yourself Irish in this story. I grew up in Limerick.
Yeah.
Like, at this point, like, okay, we're just writing a fictional book. Like, I
Right.
mean, just lean into that. Why not?
Yeah. That
Why
piece of
hide under
evidence,
the banner of truth?
that piece of evidence feels pretty damning.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Nor does the book describe the time that Arday, then a teenager, was struck by a car and spent several months in a coma. Oh, did he now? Now I'm getting mad.
Uh-huh.
That's my shit.
That's
I got
your
hit by
thing.
a car. I've been in a coma. Don't fucking play with me. According to the book proposal, the doctors told his parents that he would never recover and suggested taking him off life support as an act of mercy. Through all of this, he was aware of everything that was going on because he had locked-in syndrome. Quote, "As I will describe to readers in the book," Arday wrote in the proposal, "these months afforded me another profoundly different way of perceiving the world." The book doesn't describe any of this, nor that he awakened miraculously from the coma, nor the full year he spent relearning everything, how to walk, to talk. Instead, the memoir tells us only that he spent those months finishing his final year of secondary school and taking his exams.
So he's had to relearn everything a couple times in his life. I'm telling you, man, you get struck by lightning 35 times. I'm asking some questions.
The Atlantic author reached out to the editors of the book. They reached out to Simon & Schuster, reached out to the co-author of the book. Nobody has responded for comment. Jason Arday's book agent also didn't respond with a comment, only saying that the book was proceeding with publication.
Yikes, dude.
I know. This is something that is becoming acutely familiar to me. Major publishing houses not giving a single shit if a nonfiction book is largely fictionalized.
Yeah, passes muster.
If it can make money, they don't care.
Well,
And Jason Arday is already a very famous icon. He's already like a famous sociologist in this space. And now I think this air of controversy is probably lending itself very well to a marketing campaign that Simon & Schuster didn't have to pay for. So they don't care that the book's been fictionalized. They don't care that they're selling a book that very likely has been fabricated or at the very least exaggerated and telling their whole audience that it's the truth because they're going to make a really handsome paycheck.
Yeah.
And that's what they care about.
They do. It's kind of reminding me of the Salt Path a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The whole situation with the Salt Path. You know,
they didn't even bother looking into that.
No.
I could have told you. I'm way over here. I could have told you.
Yeah.
This didn't happen.
I'm so curious about that because you would think, like, you've written articles for magazines before. And I mean, how all over you is their legal department when it comes to making sure that things are exactly what they're supposed to be to make sure they don't get sued?
Well, here's the thing. I'm not famous.
No.
So Haley Pham is a very famous YouTube creator.
Sure.
She's been in the bookish space for a really long time. And she wrote a book this year. It came out and it was finally published by a major trad publisher. And a lot of people had a lot to say about the writing quality, which wasn't good.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty clear to me, at least. It seemed like she just threw a thesaurus at every sentence in order to sound maybe more intellectual, more writerly, quote unquote. And I don't think any editors really helped her out with that and suggested maybe taking a couple adjectives out so the sentence is clear instead of all jumbled and overly complicated, because she's very famous. And they're like, you could literally fart on the page and clap the book shut and it would still sell.
Yeah.
So we don't care what you write down. And I really take major umbrage with huge publishing houses treating the publishing industry like it's a cash cow and you can just keep beating it with a bat for money. Yeah. That's not what books should be. You're disseminating information. You should be doing that responsibly. If somebody claims that a story is entirely fictional, then that's fine. You can write down anything you want under the banner of fiction, 100%. You can do anything you want. Nonfiction, don't you want to do a little bit of digging? You're selling this book to people who are picking it up believing that it's the truth. It's a true account of something. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean anything to you? Weird that you got into books. Really fucking weird that you went into the book business if you don't give a fuck about what's in a book.
Right.
You don't care about the truth?
Well, and in the case of like the Salt Path, can have very real consequences for people who believe it.
And has.
Yes.
Belle Gibson, too. She sold her cookbook as though it could cure cancer, and people leaned into that holistic nonsense gobbledygook that she was selling on Instagram, and people died. Yeah. It's a very serious matter you're dealing with. It's just a book. What does it matter? The truth matters a lot. And I don't know, if you disagree with that, then you're weird. You're part of the problem. The truth doesn't matter? Okay, great. Then what are we fucking doing?
100%.
God.
And I think what this kind of mentality seems to stem from, we've talked about this a lot of artistic fields, films, books, journalism, like magazines, that kind of thing. They rely on the tentpole thing. You know, a lot of publishing houses rely on the tentpole thing, the Sally Rooney, the Sarah J. Maas, you know, the book that isn't very like critically lauded, but they sell 1 million copies. You know what I mean? And that helps them do other books that they might not be able to take a risk on.
Yes.
Right? That's important.
That's why celebrity memoirs have been such a staple in the publishing industry for so long.
Exactly.
Because they sell copies like this way, that way, and the other way. And it opens the door for writers that you don't know, but could really become household names, like Ottessa Moshfegh. Like, she's a famous writer, but at some point she wasn't. She was just a 20-something trying to get something published. And it's because of famous people writing books that she was able to do that and like ascend to the echelon that she's now inhabiting. So that doesn't happen if large names don't open the door for people.
Absolutely. That's a major like function of the machine.
Yes.
And I think that's what the rationalization might be on the inside when it comes to something like this.
But why is everything a celebrity memoir?
That's a great question.
Why is Mia Ballard's Shy Girl a celebrity memoir? Why is that being treated like a celebrity memoir?
Great question. Great question.
I am convinced that no one is good at their job. Every day I become more convinced that nobody is at work. Nobody is trying.
Yeah.
It's a dark place.
We're just asleep at the wheel.
So yeah, that's pretty much how the Atlantic article ends. I want to talk a little bit about academia and what it can be like to be a felt outsider in academic spaces.
Okay.
So I said Cambridge was founded in 1209. That makes it one of the oldest surviving universities in the entire world. It is the premier university. Cambridge and Oxford are always battling it out for that number one spot. It is a fantastic institution of higher learning. It's produced over 120 Nobel Prize winners. Its alumni network includes Charles Darwin, Alan Turing, and Emma Thompson. So I think when that's the company you're in, if you already have imposter syndrome, it can be really difficult to feel like you belong.
Sure.
When you're looking at an institution that well precedes you, that has a reputation that far precedes you, and that wasn't really built with you in mind. If you are a Black man with learning disabilities, Cambridge was not built for you, and you know that going into it.
Yeah.
And so I imagine being in that environment, I would feel major imposter syndrome walking on the grounds.
100%. I definitely feel that kind of sympathetic link there.
Yeah.
100%. I mean,
do.
I felt imposter syndrome going to a very tiny university in the middle of Texas. Like, I got denied from every university I applied to, except for one. And I went there and I thought, I don't deserve to be here, even though it was like it was a borderline commuter college. You know what I mean? So I can't imagine that being the level that you're at.
It is very easy to feel dumb or out of the loop in academic spaces. That's not necessarily because of lifelong academics themselves. It's just when you're in the presence of someone who knows so much, it can feel very belittling because you don't know as much as they do.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked with an Ivy League institution for a couple of years now, and one of my managers is a professor there, and we'll go out to dinner or drinks, and he does laps around me. He has seen actually every film in the world. I thought I was impressing him. I knew, because I knew we were going to go get drinks. And I'm like, I just watched this really obscure movie. I know he's never heard of it. I'm going to give him a recommendation that he's never gotten before and that I know he will enjoy. And I was so excited to give him this because I know that he's hard to impress. And I roll up to dinner and we're sharing meatballs. And I'm like, have you seen blah, blah, blah? And he goes, oh, yes, I wrote my dissertation on that. It's like, damn it. I thought I was impressing you with my like amazing worldliness, but no, he's a true cinephile and he loves the film and television industry. He can tell you everything about the history, the media, the icons, the locations in LA. He doesn't live in Los Angeles. He knew more about Los Angeles than I did.
Yeah.
I was born there. So it's very easy to feel small in spaces full of big people.
Absolutely. I have a lot of friends who were archaeology students who went to like UT and major universities in Europe and that kind of thing. I don't know how I amassed a bunch of archaeology friends, but we're here. And talking to them makes me feel very silly when it comes to you and I talk about history a lot. And I like to think I know a little bit more about history than the average person. They know so much. They know, it's like that scene in Good Will Hunting when he's talking to the guy's trying to chat up the lady at the bar, the precursor to do you like them apples, you know? And he's like, yeah, you're going to be reading this and you're going to be spewing that the next semester. It's like, that's how I feel. I feel like that guy. I feel very little. It's like, God, I feel like a child watching his parents have dinner. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you have the one smart thing that you're going to try and say to impress everybody. Yeah.
So I imagine it must feel especially precarious if you've lied or exaggerated to get this job at the top university in the world, because now every move feels like a downfall. Because at this point in pursuing a career in academia, there's no floor left to scale.
Yeah.
You've reached the peak. You're teaching at Cambridge as the youngest Black scholar to ever do so. There's nowhere to go but down. You know, I can really tap into that mentality of being somewhere, working so hard to get somewhere so prestigious, and then sitting there at the top and enjoying the view for exactly 5 seconds before realizing I'm going to have to come down at some point. What do I do now? And it can also be very difficult to maintain that position if you don't have the muscle that it would have required you to get there in the first place.
That's a really good way to phrase it. Yes, absolutely. If you don't have the practice and the ability that you've needed to develop in order to get there, you're not going to be able to stay there.
There's a reason professors at these institutions have PhDs and are seasoned professionals because that's what it takes to be able to teach these really complex ideas to younger people. It takes a lot of experience and a lot of time and a lot of muscle working. So to cheat your way into that position really only screws you over, because now you're in a position that you're not qualified for and you don't know how to do. It's like weaning yourself off of steroids and then joining the ring with John Cena. It's like, you are not ready.
I think a piece of this where I do, again, feel sympathy is it's hard to tell where the facts of this guy's life actually start and end, because there seems to be a lot of fabrication in the middle. There do have to be some true things that he said along the way. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's some parts of his story that is absolutely real and that he did experience, but he can't defend them because of all of the other kind of aspersions that have been cast, all the doubt that has been cast over his life because of what's been going on, because of the lies that he's been kind of spreading. And that has to feel really tough on the inside. It's like, I actually did do that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was a real thing I had to overcome. And I bet the feeling of like, fuck, if I just hadn't lied that one time, if I just didn't start, lying can be addicting for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it's really easy to get caught on the snowball of lying, where you tell a little lie just to cover up an awkward silence or to impress somebody at a dinner party or to get a job. We all lie at a job interview.
Or just to get a laugh. Like, you know?
Oh, I lie constantly for a laugh. Are you kidding me? Every day of my life. So I think, but then that happens and now that becomes like a staple. Now that's like a part of your story that you have to remember. And then that leads into a smaller lie and then a small lie and then a medium lie. And it just keeps building until you've built a character that you think belongs in the space that you're inhabiting. Because your character, you feel, doesn't actually belong here. So you had to go and build one that more fits this idea of a scholar at Cambridge who's overcome all of these things.
Right.
Now that person feels like they belong here for sure. You don't.
Right. And that person is not you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This reminds me a little bit of that guy who lied about his dad being killed on 9/11. Do you remember this? The comedian?
Yes, that's right.
And it came out in a very public, humiliating fashion that he totally lied about that. And he talked to Pete Davidson, of all people, about it later. And he was like, honestly, I said it at a party. I don't know why. It just came out of me. And then I just had to live with it. And I didn't know. There's no good time to confess to your friends and colleagues, hey, I didn't actually go through that.
Right. The only time you can do it is the 3 seconds after you say it for the first time.
And even then, you ruined the party.
Right. Then the vibe is weird.
Oh, why'd you say that? Yeah. That's not funny. I experience a similar thing with my students pretty consistently. So I teach high school students essay prep in preparation for their college applications. So we write a lot of college applications. And so many of them feel compelled to tell the story of the worst day of their life. They're like, okay, well, I really need to impress these college admissions officers. I guess I need to write about the day that my brother drowned. Like that was, and I'm like, do you want to write about that? And they're like, not really. It's kind of hard. I'm like, then don't write about it.
No.
You don't have to write about pain for writing to be powerful. You can write about handbags. There's an essay in everything. I do believe this. There's a story in everything. Whatever lights you up, that's the story that you should write. But there's this real thing in academia where we tell ourselves that tragedy is the only thing that earns us a place in that room.
It's the sense of overcoming.
Yes.
That seems to be the thing that's very celebrated in academic spaces, is this sense of overcoming. I mean, he's even talked about it in that book pitch that he sent. It's like overcoming is the big word. Like in spite of it all, he overcame, you know? It's like that seems to be a big thing that is rewarded in academic spaces.
Or trying to convince people that you deserve a space at the table. And the only way that we seem to know how to say, I deserve a seat at this table, is to say, because I have overcome X, Y, Z.
Yes.
And there are other reasons that you deserve a seat at the table, other than your life has been one long series of pain and inconvenience. But we tell ourselves this narrative over and over again. And at some point, I think we do believe it.
Yeah, absolutely.
We really wrap our own brains around our manufactured gobbledygook.
Well, I think that's where lying becomes addicting. Lying to yourself becomes addicting because lying can be very comforting.
Yeah.
If you lie to yourself, it's usually to heal some type of wound or to prevent some type of injury, I think. Make yourself feel better about a certain situation or to convince yourself that you do deserve to be there, right? I'm sure a lot of people out there will agree with this. How much delusion is involved in an artistic career?
Oh, I think you need to have simultaneously the ego of a 12-year-old boy and the knowledge that you are terrible.
Yes.
Like the wisdom of a 75-year-old woman.
You need to be able to double think both things. Yeah.
You do. Yeah.
Yeah. Delusion is at the heart of a lot of pursuits.
Yeah.
And it's because you have to start with not being the thing you want to be and get to being the thing you want to be.
The difference between a working producer in Hollywood and a not working producer in Hollywood is delusion.
It's delusion, yeah.
We were literally talking about this today. They talked about it on Script Notes, oddly enough. Craig Mazin mentioned it. He was like, producers just lie. They lie constantly.
Professional charlatans is what he called them.
Yeah, I believe that 100%.
But yeah, so that's part of achieving great things in life is kind of lying to yourself. It's, I deserve to be there. I should be there.
I could do that.
I could do that.
Yeah.
You know,
one of my favorite things that my dad has ever done, we were one time watching the Olympics. Okay. The Olympics.
The Olympics, yeah.
And it was specifically the Fab Five. You guys remember the Fab Five in gymnastics? Those 5 girls who were just winning everything. It was awesome. That's the last time I cared about the Olympics in any way, shape, or form.
This is kind of the early years of Simone Biles, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it was amazing. Like they were all revelations. And we were addicted to the television and we're watching it. And my dad watches Simone Biles do flips and kicks on the pommel horse. And then goes, I could do that. Put me in a little sparkly outfit.
Yeah.
I could do that. Make $1 million. Like, Dad, you can't stand on that thing.
Right.
I could stand on there. Well, you pay me enough, I could definitely do it. He's just got this.
Yeah,
I could work my way to anything.
Right.
Like he really, I think that's where I get this idea too. You do have to have this delusional sense of like, yeah, if I had enough time and energy and effort and I wanted to, I totally could.
My dad was a hockey player. You know how much delusion is involved in being a hockey player?
I could play in the show.
Right. I could
And
play
then
in the show.
did, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
You know?
I think there's this pressure to legitimize yourself in a business that gives you very little legitimacy. And again, being a scholar in sociology, existing in these academic spaces where there are very few people who look and act and think like you, that can feel very delegitimizing. And I think we are all seeking vindication and validation all the time.
I think that's true.
Eric Puckner actually wrote about this feeling a little bit in an article for The Rumpus. He said the reward at the end of all this writing is getting a 300-word story published in a magazine none of your friends have ever heard of. And if that doesn't perfectly sum up my career, I don't know what does.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that way about my film career. Like,
Yes.
I've told you this. Like, I worked in Los Angeles specifically for about 10 years. I was on a lot of television shows. I was on a lot of movies and I was in the circuit and my parents never really understood what I was doing. And it wasn't until the Weird Al movie where they saw my name in the credits where they were like, wow, this is a real thing, huh? And my mom cried. You know what I mean? Like that's how much it took.
Finally.
Right?
Yeah, something clicked into place.
And my dad's favorite saying is, oh yeah, it took me 30 years to be an overnight success.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that's really true.
Can I tell you an embarrassing story from my life?
Oh, of course you can.
So it's the pandemic, but the vaccines have rolled out. So me, my partner at the time, and our friends come over for dinner. We're all vaccinated. It's one of the first times we can all be together. It's very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
We all sit down to have dinner. And one of my friends is a very awarded journalist and has written extensively on gun control in America.
Okay.
And so naturally the topic turns to gun control.
Right.
Because we're a bunch of fun people.
Yeah. Well, journalists, they're just living in the thing 24/7.
Dude, it's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Talk about rabbit holes. Hang out with a journalist, you'll get a rabbit hole for sure. But we start talking about gun control, and I said something, just like quoted off. I'm sure I got it off an Instagram infographic.
Yeah.
Some crazy bullshit. And he looks at me and he goes, "That's not true at all." I was like, "Really? I've heard that over and over." He's like, "Yeah, that's like a weird social myth. That's not true at all." He's like, "I actually looked into that for a story recently, kind of lived with it for like 6 months." So, and then he starts talking, and I am acutely aware, oh, I do not know enough about this.
Oh, I'm in deep water.
Oh, I am way out to sea with no buoy in sight.
Yeah.
It's really, it was such a pivotal moment for me where I was like, it actually would make me so much smarter to just say I don't know that much about this, or to ask, to just lead with curiosity instead. I don't have to fake it. What am I faking it for? These are my friends.
Right.
They don't expect me to know as much about gun control as them. They are gun control journalists. That's their whole thing.
Well, and you're an actually like very curious person. So,
I am. I was like, I don't know why I'm leading with like, oh yeah, I know all about that. Instead of what is the shame in admitting that I don't know everything about something? Of course I don't. But I think there's this pressure because we carry these devices on our phones all the time. These things are on our person every minute of every day.
Yeah.
And for some reason, that means we have to know everything all the time. And it's like to admit that you don't know something is to admit that you spend time on this phone that is not productive. It's like admitting that you eat junk food.
That's an interesting line of thought, Lindsay.
Which everyone eats junk food. If you have access to it, you eat it. Like there's no shame in saying, yeah, I spend some time on my phone and I'm not going down a rabbit hole of gun control and the facts and statistics at all hours of the day.
Right.
Weirdly, that's not how I'm spending my time.
Sometimes I'm just playing Sudoku.
Yes, I know a lot about a few things, and I get very curious and I like to learn about other things, but it doesn't make any sense to pretend to be an expert in a field that I don't actually know anything about.
No.
So I think this story strikes me, if anything, it's just a lack of curiosity.
Yeah.
Like you're not actually curious about the field that you chose to exist in and to study and to champion at all. And it doesn't seem like you're all that curious about academia because you're not engaging with it honestly. And I just think that's such a missed opportunity.
It is, because now this is the problem that happens that we also see in the film industry. Because now he was the youngest Black scholar to be elected to being a professor at Cambridge. That's a big deal. And now there's going to be a scar on that title that comes from him.
And it's not fair. And this is something that also really bothers me. It shouldn't be a stain on all Black scholars that one Black scholar plagiarized maybe some of his work.
Of course not.
I don't know why his presence there has to be inherently political, but it is. Again, I am certain, I haven't seen this on my algorithm, but I am positive that Confast's Substack is just blowing up right now. And I really hate that a racist weird guy is the one who initially broke the story.
Yeah.
Everything about this feels really gross to me. I take umbrage with him as an individual, not with Black scholars.
100%.
Generally.
100%. But we've seen it in the film industry where, a studio gives a Black director or a Black writer a shot. And then I kind of personally, my conspiracy theory is that they underfund or give limited resources to the project. And then, surprisingly, the project doesn't do that well.
I know they do that.
And
they do that on purpose.
And then they point at that project and go, well, see, we tried and it didn't work out. So we're not going to do that ever again.
Yeah. Well, we tried to make the Black movie.
Yeah.
But nobody wanted to see it. So I guess we're just going to throw it away and never do that again. It's like, maybe if you gave it a budget of more than $200,000.
Well, I think the lesson here is be curious, don't plagiarize, and don't say you ran 600 miles in 6 days.
Don't lie to me and say you went into a coma after getting hit by a car. I will know if you weren't actually in a coma. And stop with the brain tumor lies.
Testicular cancer is also sad.
That also sucks. I don't know why you didn't write about that. It was right there. I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Connor.
And this has been a chat with the Chibby Chabs. Thank you so much for chibbing and chabbing and chatting with us.
Thank you so much for everybody for watching. If you made it this far, consider liking and subscribing. It means a lot to us and it costs you absolutely nothing.
Another free thing is our topic suggestion box, which you should definitely check out. We also have a coffee page that you can visit if you want to buy Connor and I a coffee. If you want to check out mini episodes, you can subscribe over there. We have a lot of fun. Okay. And that's it. Those are all the things that I have to say.
I think that's everything.
Yeah.
I think it's everything. Thank you so much for watching. She's Lindsay. I'm Connor. And we'll see you next week.
And I will see you in 2 seconds.
Bye, everybody.